Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today in the Global Tea Gathering, chatting about how can we build our business acumen to earn a seat on the table. This is Ehab AbdelHafez. I'm the head of talent acquisition for Africa, Middle East, and Turkey at Johnson & Johnson. Before starting, I'd like to give you a bit a brief about myself. So I'm a pharmacist by education, and afterwards I've done my postgraduate studies in organization and business psychology with the University of Liverpool, and very recently I joined the ESCP Business School as management PhD candidate. I'm passionate about everything HR and talent, and it's very obvious. I moved into the HR space right after graduating from the School of Pharmacy, and I was really privileged as I worked in multiple parts within HR. So I started in training and consulting, and then I moved into an HR business partner role, then in talent acquisition, and then business transformation, and then back into HR business partnership. And my current role is in talent acquisition as well. I worked in telecom, FMCG, healthcare industries, and I've had the chance to work in Africa, Asia, and the US. Personally speaking, I love traveling, I love diving, and I love everything arts. So back to our session today. How can we build business acumen to earn a seat on the table? And I specifically chose the term earning a seat on the table because it's not given, it's earned, and we will need to demonstrate the right capabilities and behavior in order to get this from the business. But before going there, why it's important actually for TA leaders to demonstrate strong business acumen? In a recent research that was done by Gartner, which is called the Hiring Manager Panel Survey that they have done in 2019, they found that after surveying almost 3,000 hiring managers, that the business acumen is the third most wanted skill by hiring managers. Meaning that on a list of 10 skills, they really appreciate TA leaders and recruiters if they have knowledge of the business and they have business acumen, which constitutes around 28% of the hiring manager wanting the recruiters to have a strong knowledge about the business. So now we know that business acumen is important. Hiring managers want us to demonstrate, and business leader wants us to have it. But what's really business acumen? So what's the definition of business acumen in order to be able to build it? And business acumen is a bit broader than just business knowledge. So it's not just knowing what's the business and how it operates and what are the types of products and services that we have, but it really goes beyond that. And business acumen, the definition that I would love to put together for business acumen based on multiple resources, I think it's the knowledge about the levers of business performance and growth, the ways to keep these insights relevant and current, and the ability to use them to tell a story and influencing hiring decisions. So 3 things: levers of business performance and growth, ways to keep these insights relevant, and tell a story and influencing hiring decisions. So let's dive deeper into each one of those separately. So the first one is the levers of business performance and growth. As a talent acquisition leader, I should build a sound understanding of my organizational products and services, operating model, consumers and customers we are serving. What are the key competitions, our annual plans, our long-term growth strategies? And those are things that can help me shaping my talent agenda and the way that I'm attracting, engaging, and acquiring talents. So think of, for example, the annual plans, if we're taking this as an example. If one of the annual plans or one of the business objective plans is growing one channel, for example, one sales channel, for example, e-commerce. If I know that the business is planning to grow e-commerce by 30%, the questions to the business leaders is that, what does it really mean from a talent are we going to buy, build, or borrow those talents? Do we have internally e-commerce capabilities? Shall we go and build pipeline for e-commerce? At what levels? Do you have the leaders? Do you have, are you looking for mid-management? What are the types of skills within e-commerce that you are looking at? And so on and so forth. And just understanding like a one detail from this business plan can really help you shaping your talent acquisition strategy. Align resources behind that, because again, if it's a business objective, it is a talent acquisition and HR objective. And then align resources behind it and make sure that you start working on it proactively. So by the time that roles are there, you have already a pipeline of candidates who has been like already in the process, have been identified, and you are ready to hire them. And then you are driving business growth and business performance. So this is just one example, and you can actually build on that in many situations. If we move into the other one, which is keeping insights relevant and current, and we in talent acquisition specifically are very, very lucky, because we are having ongoing conversations with the hiring managers, and we are having ongoing conversations with candidates. And this helps us actually getting an understanding and knowledge even more than like those are that they are in the media, for example, because again, you know firsthand from candidates that there is an org change that they're having, or you know firsthand from the candidate that there are like potential growth that it is happening in specific region. Definitely they don't disclose details, but at least you know that there's something happening there. Firsthand from the candidate that they are like again introducing new products, introducing new launches, and so on and so forth. And from a hiring manager perspective, again, those continuous engagement with the hiring manager brings you closer to the business and what's happening actually at a macro level. So, for example, I remember very recently we've been talking with one of the business leaders who's talking about key changes in the healthcare ecosystem in one of the countries that they're operating at, and how this will impact the types of talents that will be attracting in the organization, because things will look very different in a couple of years. So just keeping those insights relevant and current by making sure that you leverage those daily interactions and making sure that you get the most out of it to build your own business acumen and understanding, and then translate this into actions that they are related to talent acquisition, engagement, and attraction. So if we move actually into the third one, which is how can we tell a story and influence hiring decisions? And talent acquisition generally, and in HR, and I would say that across all the different functions, now we sit on a huge amount of data in our systems. Think about your applicant tracking system, think about your candidate relationship management system, think about like the external reports that they are out there. So we sit actually on a huge amount of data. The question is that how are we using those data in order to influence hiring decisions? So for example, think of a niche role that you've been hiring for recently, and that you got the job description from the hiring manager. He asked you to open the requisition. You opened it, we posted, and we prayed that someone would be applying for the role. Without really questioning the requirements that the hiring manager put together. And versus if you looked historically at this role and how long did it take and what were the requirements that we put there back then, and then go back with those data to the hiring manager and say that, look, I looked at the data and this role is a really hard to fill role. And when we've put those requirements in place, it took us 4 months to fill this role. I would suggest that we relax those rules, because if we relax those requirements. And if we relax those requirements, for example, moving it from requiring PhD to requiring masters, or requiring masters to requiring a bachelor's degree, thinking of adjacent skills that they are there, thinking about like leadership capabilities and competences and cognitive abilities, thinking about like, let us look at learning agility of those candidates that can give us an idea about how they will quickly learn what they are missing on. And then going for a 70% ready candidate versus we're going for someone who is hitting the ground running, which is always like the aspirations of the hiring managers. Then when you bring those data, when you bring those insights, when you build the story, you will find business leaders are responsive to you, and they will really appreciate all the work and effort that you're putting together in order to help them at the end of the day, because it's not about us filling the roles fast, but it is a matter of that you have a vacant place in the business, and this place might be a revenue generating role actually, and like revenue we are missing out on because there's no candidates who's sitting there. So it's really important to make sure that we leverage those data and insights and make sure that we build the story with them. It's not about like another dashboard. It's not about another Excel sheet, but how can we build on those data that we have in Excel sheets and dashboards in order to drive and influence hiring decisions. I'd like actually to leave you with three examples from my experience during the past 13, 14 years when I leverage actually business acumen and how it helped me with earning my seat on the table. So the first one is a recent example of crafting a business aligned TE strategy that resonated with the business and the leadership team. And this was for early talent strategy that we were trying to put together. Um, Historically, the early talents were like an HR or TA program that you push for the business, saying that, look, it's summertime. Now we would like to get interns into the business. Do you have projects that we can bring interns on? And because it was not really aligned with future business needs, what happens is you bring them in. Experience is not as you would want, as well as after they finish, there's no really conversion that you can do because there's no like business needs, or there are no roles that they can move into, and hence you have been developing them for the competition. So basically, what we started to do is that historical data, what are the hiring trends for entry level roles, people who can come from a university with a 0 to 2 years of experience as fresh grads into the business. And then we started to look at in which functions. And then we went to the business saying that, look, this year we would like to build our internship program based on your future hiring needs. Historical data says that those are the functions where you normally hire fresh grads, and those are the numbers that we have. How can we couple this with demand planning for your future needs in the next year, and making sure that we build this like pipeline for those full-time hires. And this is will not be the only benefit that you're getting as a business leader, but as well as you will have an opportunity to look at or for an extended evaluation that you will have, because you will have them, you will see them on the job, and then you can decide whether you would like to convert them or not. And this really resonated with them, because again, now you're not really pushing for them another HR or TA program. You are telling them that I'm trying to help your future needs and building pipelines for your entry level roles. And not only that, they had actually an issue with the turnover for those who joined the organization at that entry level roles, leaving within the first 12 months. So then potentially you are improving these retention rates, because by the time that you're converting them, you as an organization are happy with the candidates, and the candidates are happy with you as an employer, and hence they would want actually to join and grow within your organization. So not only they were happy with the strategy, they started to say that, you know what, we will put a centralized budget and we will ring fence this budget. So we once there are like financial pressures, we make sure that we are not losing sight on this important initiative that we have that will help us as a business further grow. So this was a very interesting example. How can you, again, shifting the mindset, making sure that they know what is the value that they are getting, and based on that, they will be your first supporters and sponsors. The second one is how can we change the dialogue from what I want you to do into what do you think? Basically, how can you move from what Gartner put it together like a few years back? How can you move from an order taker into a talent advisor? And I can see this with like demonstrating knowledge and making sure that demonstrating that you are adding value to the table. And this happened very recently with me when we've been discussing the value of using objective assessment tools, and how this can help unearth things that you don't normally see in an interview. And in a very recent situation, we took talent decisions based on some insights that we saw in those assessments, along with other data points that we collected during the hiring process. And the manager and the director at that point was very amazed about like the fact that we could have uh, we could have basically missed this potential risk, and how this could have impacted future performance. So again, demonstrating knowledge and making sure that it's not only about opening a requisition and finding the candidates, screening them and passing them on to you, but in every part of the process there is a value that you as a talent acquisition leader is providing to them. Last but not least is using data and analytics to help the business taking informed decisions. And this situation goes back, I would say, like 7 8 years ago, when I first did it, and actually the idea was the business leaders at that point of time were very hooked about specific skill set that they would like to have, specific background and experience and qualities. And this basically meant that we have only three organizations that we can hire from, because they were looking at as well like specific industry experience. So I went to them. I said, okay, fine, let's look at what's out there in the market. And I did a calculation of how many people are there with those skill sets. And 7 8 years ago, it took some doing, because you don't have the same amount of data and insights and tools as you have now. So I brought this to them and say that, look, if we stick to those requirements that you're having, this industry background and experience, we will be very like we will be having a very dry pool of candidates, and this will take us a very long time to fill. And those were like kind of 8 to 10 roles of the same nature. So they said that, okay, what are our options? I said that, okay, so if we relax actually the requirements a bit, and instead of, for example, this was in sales organization, instead of going into only direct sales, going into as well key accounts, this will increase the pool by that amount. If we looked at people who are in similar industries, this will increase the pool by that amount. And then we ended up looking at like seasoned salespeople who has the right capabilities and the right learning agility and competencies. And we worked with the sales training organization just to build an onboarding experience for them that can help them like getting the foundation of the industry very fast in the first or 2 months, and then they will be speaking the language of the industry, and they will know those nuances that we couldn't have got unless if you worked in the industry before. So from hiring, if I remember correctly, 3 people in 4 months, we managed to hire the balance of the 10 people in 3 weeks. And then the business spend the rest of the time just onboarding them, making sure that they have the foundation and knowledge that are the industry specific knowledge that they will need to do the job. And it was a great success. So it couldn't have been happening without bringing those data and insights and just building the story using those data, and influencing the hiring decision at the end of the day. So with that, I'd like to thank you so much for staying with me for those 15 20 minutes. Um, please reach out to me on LinkedIn. Would love to connect with you all, and best of luck with the rest of the sessions. I'm sure that you will enjoy the event, and speak to you soon. Have a great rest of your days.